Throughout American cultural course, we tackle the meaning of gender and the different labels attached to gender roles. As stated in our textbook, gender was used to differentiate between the bodily sex, male and female, and social roles, masculinity and femininity, and to note the frequent discontinuities between sex and role. Having to redefine gender role has been a challenge. We have to remember that in the 17 and 1800s, women were portrayed as sentimental creatures that would be best suited at home, taking care of their children, housework, and keeping their husbands happy. Some have even compared the conditions of women in this time to a form of slavery. Women were completely controlled by the men in their lives, first by their fathers, brothers, and male relatives, and finally by their husbands. Their sole purpose in life is to find a husband, reproduce, and then spend the rest of their lives serving him. If a woman were to decide to remain single, she would be ridiculed and pitied by the community. According to our textbook, mainstream scholars still wed sex, male or female, to sexuality, homo or hetero, applying what feminist philosophers Judith Butler famously called a heterosexual matrix across a wide array of disciplinary and interdisciplinary research fields, often by relying implicitly on the concept of biological reproduction. My primary document is an image from the Women's Suffrage Association giving a banner to the Brown of Men's League for Women's Suffrage of New York. The campaign for women's suffrage began in earnest in the decades before the Civil War. During the 1820s and 30s, most states had extended the franchise to all white men, regardless of how much money or property they had. At the same time, all sorts of reform groups were proliferating across the United States. Temperance clubs, religious movements, and moral reform societies, anti-slavery organizations, and in many of these, women played a prominent role. Meanwhile, many American women were beginning to chafe against what historians have called the cult of true womanhood. That is, the idea that the only true woman was pious, submissive wife, and mother concerned exclusively with home and family. Put together, all these contributed to a new way of thinking about what it meant to be a woman and a citizen in the United States. Women were reconsidered traditional roles during the 1960s. More women showed signal status and independence over married with 2.5 children. Being an accessory to a husband's career became less of a desired goal and more of a rearview mirror attitude. Even well-to-do women buried their bras in protest of being just a lady. I honestly don't know where the women's suffrage would be if it wasn't due to the combination of Cat's careful organizing and post-militant tactics, which included publicly burning copies of speeches by President Wilson. It helped to make suffrage an inescapable issue. And women continue to use these same tactics today in order to fight for equality for everyone involved.